Hello, this is Dr. Mike McKinney. I'm president of Promise Christian University here in the beautiful city of Pasadena. And again, we want to welcome you on PCU Live. And we're so delighted to be on the air with you. And each week, as when the guests come on, we're praying that something will be said in each program that will reach out and touch your life and touch your heart as you view us. And today, in studio, I've had the privilege for several years now of interviewing many wonderful guests, exciting people that are very interesting to talk to. But today I have someone very exciting, and that's my lovely wife, Adele. Welcome, darling, to the program today.
Thank you, Dr. McKinney, for inviting me on your program.
Well, I'm delighted to do so, and we're glad to have you on today.
Well,
we're excited. And I wanted our viewing audience to get to know a little bit about you. And you were born in Hawaii, is that right?
I was born in Hawaii at the Queen Kapi'olani Hospital in Honolulu.
Oh.
And let's see, we've been in ministry now for 42 years.
42 years, a long time.
And you've been in ministry for 47 years.
That's right. That's very true. I started as a very young man in ministry, and then I came out of show business. I'd been an actor and sang in nightclubs as a young man, and my era was back in the days of the beach party pictures with Annette and Frankie Avalon and all that stuff. But
I think he can sing, but he can't dance.
Oh, no, that's very true. But, you know, after several years as a juvenile actor, doing acting, and I felt the call of God in my life. I really had a born-again experience and felt a call and went into ministry many, many years ago, which I've always been excited about. And then I met you.
Okay.
And you were going to USC to be a doctor. What happened?
Yes, I know. Well, you interfered with my career.
I ruined your whole career.
Yes.
Right?
But anyways, talk about the ministry part. You became ordained during the 60s, which was one of the most difficult periods in our time.
That's true.
It was a time where our country and everybody was going to protest against the war, and it was flower power, and the drug scene was coming out.
Right.
But in the midst of all that, God called you.
Yes,
Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing, and I've never looked back. I appreciate the opportunities that God gave me to give me a new life and a new beginning, a whole new career, and that was to be a preacher of the gospel. And you know, I knew that I had the call of God in my life, but I grew up in a Christian home, as you did. My parents were in ministry, but I hadn't had my own personal experience with the Lord. You know, and it just shows you that salvation is really an individual choice.
Certainly is.
And you can grow up in a Christian home and still not give your own heart to the Lord. So I had to do that myself. I couldn't depend on my parents or their background or their faith. But they always prayed that one day I would become a preacher of the gospel. But as you know, I got the acting bug very early in life, and I told my parents, I'm not going to be in the ministry. I hate to tell you, I'm heading for Hollywood.
Right. Well,
my mother cried. My father got upset, you know. But they told me, well, Michael, we're going to continue to pray for you. We're never going to give up because we know that God's called you. Well, I went ahead and I did do some acting, and I sang with a group in some nightclubs. A lot of the high points came very early for me, as you know. But later on, I started going back to church and really began to listen as an adult now to the gospel, and really had a true born-again experience with the Lord. And then something amazing happened. I felt the call to leave the acting world and go into the ministry and serve the Lord, which I've been doing for many, many years now.
Wow.
But I was needing a good wife, and so the Lord brought you into my life.
Actually, you needed a good piano player.
Well, you are a good piano player and an organist.
Yes.
In fact, Adele is actually a very multi-talented person, and I'm very glad for that. But
getting back to all this, so your career started in the middle of the flower power years.
That's right. Yes.
A lot of hippies on the beach. What happened in Redondo Beach? I think there was a revival that happened.
There was a revival. I was holding a youth rally and a revival in one of the local full gospel churches there in Redondo Beach. And at that time, a lot of the kids from the beach and the hippie movement and the flower movement were starting to know about the Lord. They were coming in. So we had this one young man who was very excited about the Lord. He came from that background and started bringing his friends to my revival. He said, well, there's a young evangelist, which was me, conducting these services, and began to bring these young people off the beach into this church. And we began to minister to them. And we had a tremendous revival among the youth.
Wasn't that a Newsweek magazine as well?
Yes, Newsweek got a hold of it, local newspapers, but Newsweek, Time Magazine, they all got a hold of this story of these young people coming off the beach, Hermosa, Redondo, Manhattan, all that area, the surfing crowd and all that, and coming into this church. And I was doing the evangelistic work, and along with the pastor also did a great job of following up later and continuing working with the young folks. And many, many young people came to know the Lord during that time, and some of them had been on drugs, and some of them had been just living a very free lifestyle at that time, like the flower children. But I want you to know that not only did many, many come to know Jesus at that time, but 4 of them became pastors and ministers of the gospel out of that crowd.
That's great.
That's just incredible.
You know, that's amazing, because since the beginning of that revival, that was in a very dark period for the United States.
Yes, it was.
We're sort of kind of living in that kind of a period right now where it seems like nobody cares about God anymore, and everybody can do whatever they want. But don't you think the revival is beginning to happen amongst the young people?
Yes, I do. I think it's very important that we have an understanding. You know, the Bible tells us in 2 Timothy 1:9 that he saved us and called us with a holy calling. And we're seeing a lot of young adults now coming to know the Lord and coming to want to know more about Jesus. And this is one of the reasons, although you and I have preached the gospel around the world, as we were saying that to one of our friends here earlier, that God called us to pastor locally, but then he called us many years ago to actually minister the gospel around the world, in crusades and schools of ministry. But we've always had a heart for the young adults, young people too. And I think that's one of the reasons why God put it on our heart many years ago to begin and to start Promise Christian University.
That's right.
Maybe we could tell some of our friends today a little bit about that.
Well, we felt led to start this Bible college back in 1996, 1997.
Right.
It was for the purpose really of helping pastors who had been on the field for 20 years in their churches, but never had a chance to go to Bible school, to have that opportunity to finish their education and earn a degree in theology. So our primary goal at that time was just to help the pastors earn their degree in theology.
That's right. And now the university has expanded to degrees in counseling, chaplaincy, Christian education, the business, also in business. We call it organizational management at our school. And soon, by faith, we want to start a school of media at Promise Christian University.
We didn't really realize what we were doing because it was Bible college, it was Bible seminary. But the Lord has raised the level of our school to impact the marketplace, and this is what we didn't realize what we were doing.
Talk to our viewing audience a little bit today about the marketplace ministry and our involvement.
What we were thinking was, years ago, is that wouldn't it be great if graduates could go not only in the ministry, but into the marketplace, such as business, being a lawyer, not that we're training lawyers, but giving them that biblical background to give them the tools to be an evangelist in the marketplace. And so we were doing this without realizing
including
it.
Hollywood and people in production.
Actors, producers, engineers. We had science and technology people coming to our school. We had nurses and doctors taking our courses. Can you believe that? In theology.
And engineers too.
And so all this kind of evolved into what we call now our mission, which is equipping global Christian leaders with the knowledge and skills to impact the 21st century.
That's right.
And since we've been doing this, we're just amazed at the caliber of people that have been coming to our school, and we are not yet accredited, and I want you to know that. But we're working toward that, so we're going to be applying for that. But without that, they're still coming to our school because our professors.
I was going to mention our professors, many of them, most of them are PhDs. It's incredible how the Lord has sent wonderful educators to our university, graduates of USC, UCLA, Stanford, Biola,
Azusa
Pacific, Fuller, you mentioned it.
Yes, Trinity Bible College, Trinity
they have
University.
Trinity University back east, the big one back east. And they're all teaching for promise. And it's incredible the quality of professors that we have at our university. And that's why we're praying very hard that soon we'll be accredited. But we're so delighted that in the meantime, all these wonderful people are coming to our school. So
Yes.
we just stand amazed.
Without, and one thing about our school too, sometimes you get a professor that's teaching a subject that he knows up here, but he's never done it in his life.
Right.
And we're very fortunate because our pastors who are teaching theology, they've been pastors.
That's right.
And the people that are teaching on miracles or
missions, too. Yeah.
They've been a missionary. So everybody who's teaching has been there and done that.
That's
so
very true.
Students are not only learning from the book, but they're learning from life experience, and
That's very true.
you can't replace that. You know.
And also, we're having study centers in different parts of the United States now. We have several study centers in various states, various cities, and it's exciting.
Our graduates are so excited with our program that when they graduate, they want to go home, wherever they live, and they want to start a study center. And this is amazing.
That means that they can do represent Promise Christian University in their church or their place, and they can do some of the programs there, and then we can assist them, and then when they graduate later, they can come to Pasadena and graduate with the rest of the graduates.
Right. So it's kind of exciting to see that.
It's amazing. And also, recently, we want to talk a little bit about the international ministry, because we just, as you know, when we were just in the Philippines earlier this year, and Hong Kong and and Malaysia too, we're opening study centers for the university in those places.
Well, right now we're lining up all of our online courses, and we're developing an online school that will make it very easy for a person living anywhere in the world to study at Promise Christian University and get almost the same caliber of training. Not the same, because the classroom training is really the best.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Because you're right there with your professor, and you get to talk to them, and they probably share a lot of things they wouldn't share online. But online is the second best way to learn.
They can also talk to the professors from the online program,
Right.
the long distance learning. And for those that are not savvy in the modern technology of internet, we have the regular long distance learning courses too for that. And so we're very excited, especially our international students. We're hearing such great reports that when we've gone to these countries and share the story of Promise Christian University, we've been very well. I thank God we've been very well received.
I think for some 30 years that we've been traveling the world with Dr. Mike, he actually is an international evangelist, and we've had crusades in different countries of the world. And I think all of the training, while we do a rally or a miracle crusade or something, we always had a school with it to train the pastors.
That's very true.
Without us realizing that was what we're going to go into.
Yes, we always conducted schools of ministry or pastors training, leadership training. Now it's developed into the international scene, ministering on leadership. As the president of a college, they've asked me, Dr. Mike, could you come to our country, and we'll get together with a rally, and we'll have different leaders come. And this year we found earlier, and when we were in Southeast Asia, that not only were ministers of the gospel coming, but people from the marketplace, as you mentioned, doctors and attorneys, engineers, and even military officers, and people of every background and every profession were attending these conferences. On leadership, we just stand amazed at that.
I think what's lacking in our nation is a moral leadership, integrity and character in leadership training.
Yes.
And this is what's really important. The people overseas know, because if you're living in a nation that maybe it's not as democratic, or maybe there's some corruption, right away everybody wants moral leadership. They want somebody they can trust, somebody they can look up to, somebody who is what they are in the dark as well as in the light, somebody of integrity and courage. So where do you find that? You find that in the Word of God.
Well, in fact, one of our graduates ran for the presidency of his country.
That's right.
And his son is a cabinet minister in one of the nations.
That's
so and they're all born again, love the Lord. And it's just fantastic what God is doing.
I think that even the United States Army, and probably I shouldn't say this, but a lot of the principles that are taught in the Army are from God's Word.
Well, that's very, very true. And we're excited about that. And God is doing so many wonderful things, even in the military. There's right now, it's a very exciting time to know the Lord and be a Christian. And I want to encourage our friends out there viewing today, if you're looking for a good Christian college, university, look at Promise Christian University. Look us up online. And we'd love to assist you if you haven't quite finished. Some pastors maybe got into the ministry right away and other things came up, like family and so forth, that maybe you weren't able to complete your theological degree. You can do that through Promise Christian University. Or for those that have a bachelor's degree, you want to get a master's or a doctorate, we offer those programs as well. And we'd be very delighted to talk with you and speak with you about your program. And we would be most happy to help you along the way. And we're excited. The graduation's coming up in the near future, and we just want to include you in the near future of Promise Christian University. So I just highly recommend our school.
Well, and tell me, how in the world did we get involved in the chaplain's program?
Well,
a chaplain's training at Promise.
You know, several years ago, besides pastoring a church and traveling the nations for 30 years, conducting mass evangelistic crusades and pastors' conferences and leaders' conferences now, I feel the direction to become a chaplain in a military-style program. So I didn't exactly understand why. So I became a chaplain with the Civil Air Patrol, which is the Air Force Auxiliary. And today I'm a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force Auxiliary.
And where does your commission come from?
And my commission came from Maxwell Air Force Base. That's where our commissions come from. And I trained, and not knowing that one day at Promise Christian University, we would have a school training people for chaplaincy.
Isn't that amazing?
So I can see how God is just working out that. And we might talk a little bit about our chaplains program at Promise as well. For those that are viewing, you like to become a chaplain in the hospital or right along with the police department, the fire department, and we have an auxiliary military force that you could join. And even one of our graduates from our school
National Guard.
She joined she's a lady minister who had her Master of Divinity.
Yes.
After our training from our school, went down with her degree and went down to the Army National Guard and joined, and they took her and accepted her, and today she's serving as a chaplain in the Army Guard. So we're just thrilled about that today.
So we inspired these pastors and lay people, lay ministers who happen to have an accredited degree to go and see what a chaplain does. And this is what our class is all about. What is the ministry of a chaplain, the history of the chaplaincy? We talk about pluralism. We talk about the ministry of presence, you know?
Yes.
And after that, they're all excited and they understand what a chaplain does. And they volunteer there are so many opportunities to volunteer in the community as a chaplain in a hospital, hospice care, health care, firefighter chaplain, what else?
The police department, sheriff's department.
Plus, you can join as a volunteer in a group called the United States Volunteers Joint Service Command, and they do military funerals.
Yes, as we refer to it, military boots on graves. So military people watching today will know what that means. That's merely a title that's used by the military to describe military funerals.
Yes, and we want to honor the veterans.
It's an honor for us to be able to honor our veterans today.
It started, that little group is special because years ago, there was many indigent veterans on Skid Row who were passing away. They had no family, they didn't have no next of kin, nobody knew where they were from, but yet they were veterans. So when they were young people, they fought for our country. And maybe in their latter year, it didn't turn out good, but they still deserve to be honored for this service. So this group brought together a bunch of volunteers, and they began doing once a month, honoring the fallen, the ones who had passed away. And it becomes it touched the heart of the people that yes, even though they're not doing well now, maybe they died alcoholic or on drugs, but when they were young, they served their country.
That's right.
So we need to honor them and remember them just for that.
That's very, very true. And at Promise Christian University, we really want to encourage the people to be able to go to a good Christian college and get your degree and not be in tremendous debt. You might want to mention a little bit about that today to our audience.
We started our school basically to help pastors complete their degree, and pastors of small churches, because small churches, the church cannot afford to send their pastor to accredited school that's cost thousands and thousands of dollars. So we were the alternative choice, but we wanted to make it a school that was excellent so that when they graduated from our school, they could still feel very proud of graduating from Promise. And so that's what we did. In order to do that, we had to keep our costs down. So our professors who come to teach for us, they don't get paid what a regular professors get. But they're still volunteering to come because they love the vision of encouraging the next generation, the pastors, all those who are in a different vocation but want to, when they retire maybe, to become a missionary or maybe move to a different country and be an evangelist. So we're giving them the opportunity to do that by getting their education at Promise.
And we're so delighted. As I mentioned a moment ago, it's just wonderful how the Lord has opened the way and opened the door for us not only to have the university, but the quality of professors. And one day we had all these PhDs in my office in Pasadena, and I was feeling very happy and getting a little emotional about the fact that they were there and working with us. And I asked them something about, we're so happy that you're here. And it's a miracle that you're working with our school. You know, we're a newer school. And they said, well, Dr. Mike, we're here because the Lord sent us here to help you. And I'll tell you what, that meant so much to me and to us when we heard them say that day. It was a wonderful, wonderful moment.
If you're a pastor of a small church, an independent church in the Southern California area, and you have a dream of completing your education, but you're worried about the financial end of it, you know, you should check out our school and see if we can't be a help to you. We've put pastors on discount plans. We've given them a good opportunity to pay it in affordable monthly installments. So just check out Promise Christian University and give us a call or come in and talk to us, and I'm sure Dr. Mike will encourage you.
Oh, yes.
And if we're not the right school for you, we are more than happy to refer you to another school nearby that perhaps would meet your needs better. We are happy to do that.
Sure, we're all working together, working for the Lord. That's our goal, is to as you said, to preparing men and women for leadership and in the 21st century, equipping global Christian leaders with the knowledge and skills to impact the 21st century. And that really is our goal at Promise Christian University. And we're very excited about the fact that God's opening up the international countries around the world now inquiring. Oh, and we have the Francophone program for French-speaking countries. Tell them a little bit about that.
We had our first graduate last year from our Francophone division, and we have a professor on staff who is actually an accredited professor.
And not only that, he's a medical doctor from when he was in France. He practiced medicine.
Oh, we have two. Actually, we have two. I forgot about the other pastor, but they're a part of our program, and we've been helping others around the world to get their degree. And of course, people living in different countries, they can't afford it because their rate of exchange is different. So every country has a different tuition plan, and we make it affordable.
Right. We're very excited to reach the French-speaking countries, and we were told there are many, many countries, especially the African continent, that speak French.
I think,
and so it's a great opportunity for Promise to reach these different people's groups. It was mentioned in another program recently.
I think, it's about time that we talk more about success stories than we talk about bad stories and sad stories. But there are many people that have come from nowhere and with nothing. And with the help of God, they've changed their lives, and they become success stories. And those are the ones we need to talk about.
Oh, we're really excited. And we've seen so many of our graduates of Promise giving and letting us know what they've done since they graduated.
Oh, yeah.
As foreign countries, some of them are doing great works in other countries and ministering the gospel in a marvelous way. And, and just terrific.
Some younger pastors sitting in our chaplain's class training didn't know what a chaplain does, didn't really understand what a chaplain is. Today, these people have become leaders in different, vocational areas of the chaplaincy,
That's
and it's
incredible.
Exciting. I mean, if we told you who they were, you'd probably know who they are. So we won't say that, but, wow, we're very excited about that.
I'm very excited. I'm thrilled that we have the school and here in the city, and God's been so good. We're going into our 11th year, and we're relatively a new school compared to the others, but we have years of experience on staff. That's the thing that really makes the difference. And all of our professors and instructors are just men and women of God that love the Lord, love God's people. All they want to do is educate our generation for the Lord Jesus Christ and help us to become everything that God wants us to be, to fulfill that dream that God has for us. And if we can help them at Promise to fulfill that dream, that's definitely what we want to do. In these closing couple of minutes, what would you like to share from your heart with our viewing audience today?
I just want to share a book here. It's called Let Go Whatever Holds You Back. We have nothing to do with this book, but this is excellent. It's really time for all of us to let go of the past and let's live in the present and let's look forward to the future, because God has great things for you if you let go of the past and start looking toward the future.
That's right. Well, I'm glad to have had you on the show today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, it's a great pleasure. And we've been working together now for 42 years, so I think it's working out pretty good.
So it's time for you to wrap it up, don't
Yeah,
you think?
yeah, I
You
think
have
it's
like
almost
1 minute.
time for me to, got 1 minute left. Well, I just want to thank my wife Adele for being on the program today, and we're just, we're partners. She's a registrar at Promise Christian University, and we're not only partners in life, but we're partners in ministry. And we're just so thrilled and happy that God allowed us to have a television program where we can bring out these wonderful guests, talk about Jesus, talk about the gospel, talk about school and the international ministry. And we're really pray that something we've said today will be a great, wonderful blessing to you. And we love you and we appreciate you. And if, again, I'm going to have Adele give the website of the university. John, would you please tell our viewers as we're about ready to go on?
Go on the web. It's www.promisechristianuniversity.com, www.promisechristianuniversity.com. God bless you.
God bless you. Thank you so much for tuning in again today. And we're so delighted to bring you these programs each week on the Pasadena station here. We appreciate that so very, very much. So God bless you real good, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.